Hello, this is Dr. Muriel Rand, and this is going to be an overview of edTPA for elementary teachers. Let's get started. The first question is, what is edTPA? You've maybe heard a lot of rumors about it and would like to get the straight facts, so here we go. This is a content-specific performance-based assessment. So elementary teachers have different performance tasks than other content areas. So if you're talking to somebody who's not in elementary ed, what they have to submit for edTPA could be different than what you have to submit. You're going to put together a portfolio of teaching artifacts and reflections, and this is required for standard certification in New Jersey. So before you can complete the alternate route courses and get a verification of program completion, you'll need to have a passing score on edTPA. What do you exactly need to do? You're going to plan 3 to 5 literacy lessons and then write a planning commentary. You're going to video record the literacy lessons and then write an instructional commentary. You're going to assess the lessons and write an assessment commentary. And the fourth step is to plan and teach 3 math lessons and assess them. And then you'll reteach 1 lesson and assess it again. So let's go through each of these tasks individually. The first is the planning task. And the key planning constructs that you're going to be graded on is your ability to plan for content understanding. So you need to know your literacy standards and your math standards. Supporting varied student learning needs. And in edTPA, when they say special learning needs, they mean any student who has who's not typical. So it could be somebody with an IEP, it could be somebody in special ed, it could be somebody with a 544 plan, but it could also be a student who just has trouble focusing, a student who's a little bit behind in the work, a slower learner, a gifted learner. All of those are considered students with special learning needs. You'll need to demonstrate how you use your knowledge of students to inform teaching and learning, and that's both their knowledge of what they have learned already and what they need to learn, and also their social and cultural backgrounds. You'll need to show how you're supporting language demands, and in your planning, you'll need to show how you're going to monitor and support student learning with both formative and summative assessment. What do you actually submit? There are 5 parts, so you're going to submit 5 different files. These will all be, each of these will be an electronic file. The first is the literacy context for learning information, and this is just a form that you type into that gives them information about your school, about your classroom, your curriculum, and your students. Part B is the lesson plans for the learning segment. edTPA doesn't require a specific lesson plan format, but we give you one that we think will help you. And part C is going to be your instructional materials, so just a copy of whatever you're using, if it's a handout or a reading or a workbook page or something like that. Part D are your literacy assessments, so you're going to hand in a copy of what you're planning for your assessments or the directions for the assessments. And then Part E is your literacy planning commentary. The commentaries are given to us in Word documents, so you're going to download it and open it up on your computer, and then you'll be able to type right into it. It's a series of questions, and you're going to answer all of these questions based on your lesson plans. Task 2 is the instructional task. You need to pay attention to the following key teaching constructs that will be graded. Your learning environment, or in other words, your classroom management, how well you engage students in learning, how well you respond to students to deepen their learning, your subject-specific pedagogy, which will be literacy or math, and how well you can analyze your teaching effectiveness. So you'll go over what went well and what didn't go well, how you could have done it better. What do you actually submit? 2 video clips of no more than 20 minutes total. So you're going to videotape all of your lessons, but then you get a chance to look at your video and pick out the 2 video clips that you think demonstrates your teaching in the best light. And then you're going to do the literacy instruction commentary, which again is a Word template. You download it and type into it. It's a bunch of questions that you're going to answer based on the video clips. Task 3 is your literacy assessment. And the key assessment constructs here is your ability to analyze student learning. That would be the whole class. And also like key students, you're going to have focus students that you'll go into more depth on what they learned or what they still need to learn. How well you're providing feedback to guide the students' learning. How well you're guiding students to use your feedback. analyzing your students' use of your language functions that you put in your plans, and using that assessment information to plan your next lessons, to inform instruction. So what would you plan next and why? What do you actually submit? 4 files. The first file will be 3 student literacy work samples. They'll be your focus students. Part B is the evidence of the feedback you gave them. Part C is your literacy assessment commentary, once again, a Word document that you download and type into to answer questions. And Part D is your evaluation criteria. So that's simply your rubric or something that explains how you are actually grading each assignment. Then finally, task 4 is a math assessment. So for task 4, you're going to need to show how you can analyze whole class understanding and analyze individual work samples in math, and how you can re-engage students in learning when they maybe didn't get it fully the first time, and then use evidence to reflect on your teaching. So for this, there's a lot of little pieces to this, but basically what you do is there's a mathematics context for learning information. That is a separate form just in case you're doing your math lesson with a different class than you might have done your literacy lessons. If it's the same class, it's going to look somewhat the same, although your curriculum, you'll give them information on your curriculum and who might be struggling in math, who might have special learning needs for math. Then Part B is your lesson plans. So you're going to do 3 lesson plans again. Part C is your formative assessment. So you're just going to put that into a file and explain it. Part D is the evaluation criteria for that assessment. So again, your rubric or whatever it might be that explains how you're going to grade that. And Part E are student mathematics work samples from your lessons. Part F is examples of student work from a re-engagement lesson. So what you do is you teach your 3 math lessons, and then you analyze your data. You decide what work who needs more help, right? Who didn't quite get it. And then you're going to reteach a lesson, and that's called the re-engagement lesson. And you're going to just provide examples of student work from that. And then Part G is your mathematics assessment commentary. Again, Word document you download and answer questions. Notice that you don't have to videotape the math lesson. You just provide the lesson plans and the work samples, because this is focused more on how you assess mathematics. So you don't have that, you don't have the video clips, and you don't have to explain your teaching. Okay, so the edTPA rubrics all look this way. They have 5 levels, and there are 18 rubrics in total, so each part of these has its own rubric. And you want to aim for a level 3 or higher. So level 3 is what edTPA feels is the acceptable level to begin teaching. Level 4 is a solid foundation of knowledge and skills, so definitely go for a 4 or 5. Many of our students achieve 4s and 5s, and you know, it's a good goal to have. In your handbook, the rubrics are included in there, and there's also a separate document that is a rubric a blueprint that shows you what each rubric is in quite a bit of detail. The passing score in New Jersey for elementary is 44. Again, there are 18 rubrics, so we recommend that you aim for a 3 on all your rubrics. If you get a 3 on all of them, you will pass edTPA. The timeline. We have established this timeline to help you pace your work. So in weeks 1 to 3, we're going to work on task 1, getting your lesson plans done and writing your lesson plan commentary. Weeks 4 and 5, you can teach your learning segment. And we recommend that you videotape some of your lessons before you do your edTPA lessons, so that you get used to how to use whatever recording device you're going to use, probably your phone, and get the students used to being recorded. Then you're going to record your video segment, and then in weeks 6 to 8, you're going to review the video, choose your 2 video clips, and write the commentary for task 2. In weeks 9 and 10, you'll complete task 3, which is your assessment for the literacy. And that you don't have to do in the classroom. You can actually do that at home. You just have to look through your assessment materials, analyze them, and write up your commentary. Then weeks 11 to 13, you're going to teach your math lessons. Well, you're going to write your math lesson plans, teach your math lessons, get your assessment work, and then put that all together in the commentary and your assessment files. Then that still gives us 2 more weeks to submit your portfolio for official scoring, and that gives you some time to make sure the file formats are all correct, that your video file is not too large, and to have us review it with you to make sure that everything looks good. If you submit your portfolio by December 5th, you'll receive your score on December 26th. It takes 3 weeks. If you submit your portfolio on December 19th, you'll receive your score on January 9th. We don't really care when you submit it, but you need to know that in case you are looking forward to getting your standard certification application in, you will not be able to get a verification of program completion until you've got that passing score. We have edTPA resources available for you in this course. The edTPA handbook is the most important thing. You must read that carefully many times. You're going to go back to it over and over and over again as you go through each step. You'll go back to that handbook to check what you need exactly. There's also a handbook called Making Good Choices, which is just some tips from edTPA to help you. There's an academic language handout, which will help you understand what the academic language means for elementary. And then we have some more teaching resources for you on Blackboard and some videos. Our tips. The first tip is that the edTPA handbook needs to be your Bible. Print it out, put it in a notebook, keep it with you. You must read it carefully over and over and over again. It has everything you need. It has all the details you need, and the details matter. This is a standardized test, so you have to follow the directions exactly. If it says you need 3 work samples, you can't send in 2. If it says you have to have 4 people in a group, you can't have 3 in a group. If it says your file format has to be a certain amount of megabytes, it can't be over that. If they say to put them in separate files, you have to put them in separate files. The details matter. So stay organized, keep up with the completion schedule. Don't put this off. Allot a certain amount of hours each week to doing edTPA and stay on schedule. It's too hard to get caught up. What we know from students who've done it in the past is if they take a few weeks off and don't work on it, they won't be able to finish it. What if I don't pass? First, don't panic, because you can retake part or all of edTPA as many times as you need to. And you will get your scores, and you'll get a score for each rubric. So based on your score profile, you can choose to retake either the entire assessment, or you can just retake 1, 2, or 3 tasks and pay accordingly. And we can help you review it and help you to figure out what you might need to redo. How much help can you get? Well, we will guide you through the process and provide resources. So we'll stay on top of you and let you know what you should be working on and what order you should be doing things. And we can review your plans. We can look at your plans and we can look at your commentaries, but we can only make general suggestions. We cannot edit or provide specific changes to your work because that's considered cheating for edTPA. So we might have very general responses such as, why don't you work on your accommodations and modifications a little bit more? Or, why don't you go back and look at your standards again? Or, I think your formative assessment needs some work. But you must read the handbook and you must take responsibility for following it, because we are not allowed to give you very specific help. How is the course graded? The assignments in the course are the drafts that you create for your edTPA submissions. And we will give you feedback and grades on your work, but not the same way that edTPA does. We're really not allowed to score your work the way edTPA would score it. So we tend to score in this class, we're grading for effort, getting your work done on time, and helping classmates. So we can't guarantee what your edTPA score will be. We have a good idea of what looks like a good submission, but in the end, you've got to be responsible for reading the handbook, ensuring that you've done every single thing they ask for, and I'm not kidding, every single thing. Because if you get an incomplete, if you don't have the files right, you also have to pay to get it reevaluated. So just, it's not that hard. You just have to be careful and look at all the directions. So again, you must be responsible for knowing the rules in the handbook. So we wish you good luck. We think this course will help you a lot, and we look forward to the success that you're going to have on edTPA.